Hello everyone and welcome to At The Peak, where we go over all things health and fitness, longevity, home training, kettlebells, hiking, camping and adventures. All the good stuff, all the good stuff. And in today's episode we're going to talk about the absolute secret sauce, the absolute one little thing that you guys can do that is going to change everything. It's the one thing that you guys are going to be able to do that is going to be able to increase longevity, age better, look better, move better. And it's so simple to do that absolutely anybody can do it at any age. You could start now. You could start at 50. I'd recommend you start now. But if you're 50, 60, 70, you can do it then. And it's only going to improve your life. This secret is going to be able to delay osteoporosis. It's going to be able to delay sarcopenia, muscle loss. You're going to be able to move better. It's also going to help fight off disease and increase your metabolism. And it's very simple. It's very simple to do. And that is strength training and building lean body muscle mass. Now, some of you have probably figured that out. And some of you probably maybe weren't expecting that. Maybe you were expecting some sort of food or some sort of diet or some sort of pill or something like that. But the secret is basically strength training and increasing lean body muscle mass. Right. So let's get into it and decide and discuss why exactly is that the secret to it. So like I said, strength training and building lean body muscle mass. When you strength train, it puts in do weight bearing exercises, it will delay osteoporosis, which is the decrease of bone density, which will happen as you age. And obviously you become more frail, you become more brittle, fragile, and you're more likely to break some things. Strength training is going to reverse that, or at least delay it to some degree. Okay, strength training, lifting weight, doing weight bearing exercises is going to delay osteoporosis, which means you're going to have stronger bones. That's always a plus. That's always a plus. Sarcopenia, that is the deterioration of muscle mass as we go on. If we're trying to build muscle mass, we're not going to be able to lose muscle mass as easy. So always try to build muscle mass to delay the onset of sarcopenia is always beneficial. So as we lose muscle mass, our metabolism gets slower, become more susceptible to diseases, and we just become weaker, and your metabolism will decrease because of that. They're all bad things. That's all crap. You don't want that. So what we need to do is we need to strength train, build some lean body muscle mass, eat enough sufficient protein to fuel this, so that we can then increase our muscle mass, increase our metabolism, make ourselves harder to kill by fighting off diseases, and just be stronger and more fitter in overall, because our muscle is going to help us move a little bit better. It's going to help us to lift things. It's going to be able to help us to walk. Just like if you get to like 8 years old and you have to use the table to get up and stuff like that, having more muscle mass is going to be able to make sure that you don't have to use that. You can just get up and down from your chair because you're used to the movement patterns. You've got the muscle mass to do it. All great things. And I briefly talked, just quickly mentioned there about metabolism as well. Your metabolism is going to increase as well. Do you know what I mean? You've got more muscle mass. You are heavier, which means you're going to have a more caloric requirement to maintain that weight. Now, being heavier it's not always a bad thing. Okay, but having more muscle mass means you're more metabolically active. Like your muscles are always moving, they're always requiring some form of energy, just to do the basic things. They're always active, they're requiring a form of energy. This process is going to lead to a higher metabolism. You're going to need to eat food to maintain the muscle mass you've got, increasing food intake, increasing calories, increased metabolism. All good things. So recently, just a quick side note, one of the family members of mine was doing a HIIT program, and it was a 30-day absolute shred. They had them fasting to try and drop as much weight as possible, and they were doing some training and things like this, and it was super high intense, and they were doing this for 30 days straight. Now, if they weigh themselves as they're supposed to according to this program, they're going to lose weight, right? But there's a difference between weight and fat, and I think this is where people also get it wrong. Weight can be anything. I could take a dump and lose weight. Do you know what I mean? The scale can tell you something different. Oh, I've lost 2 pounds. If you're my son, it's probably more like 10 pounds. But that's another story for another time. But yeah, so weight can be anything. You could do anything to lose weight, water weight or anything like that. But let's go look over the key issues with doing these kind of programs, right? So you do 30-day shred, you're fasting, you've lost weight, you look thinner, right? On that scale, it's going to tell you that you're a lighter weight, which is what you were actually aiming for. But what you've actually lost is not just fat. You maybe not just lost fat, you've lost lean body muscle mass. Like, you started to eat into your lean body muscle mass as a fuel source to fund the high intensity workouts that you've been doing every single day. So you've lost lean body muscle mass. That's less muscle. That's not a good thing. That's bad. That you don't want that. You need more muscle. Which means at the end of it, you're going to have less muscle mass, you're going to have a lower metabolism, and when you come off this program and start eating normally again, it's going to come back up. I think like the statistics of it, like 85 people that do these sort of like boot camps or these high intensity things with no afterthought or like aftercare to what's going on, I think like 85%, probably even higher than that, actually bounce back and go back to where they actually started. It's just not the greatest way to go about it, in my opinion. You might lose weight, but you're going to lose lean body muscle mass. And they coupled that with fasting. So the idea is that they fast, which means they try to get themselves into a calorie deficit. When you fast, you might use up whatever blood glucose you've got and whatever carbohydrates you've got pretty quick, because you can expend them in like half an hour. You know, a half an hour, like glucose, glycogen stores can be absolutely gone. When that's gone, if you don't have enough, and fats they're not a fast acting source of energy to fuel a workout. Like, if you're going to do sprints and sprints and sprints, like, fat's probably not going to come into play. Fat will come into play as an energy source when you're doing more low intensity stuff gradually, because it takes a long time to break down the fat. So it's probably going to go to your muscle mass to break that down into form of energy. It's going to have to like come and grab that and take that away, which means we've got less muscle mass. That's not a good thing. We don't want that at all whatsoever, because you're going to have a lower metabolism. You're going to be less metabolically active later on in life. So that's that. They're not always the best thing, aren't these programs, to follow. So what I suggest that you guys do is that you do strength training and you increase your muscle mass. Yes, you might be heavier, but it's going to fund the requirement to build muscle. It's going to eventually start using up your fat stores. When you build enough muscle mass, and like I said, it's before, it's always active, it's requiring something. Fat doesn't. Fat just sits there, lays there, does naff all. Muscles require something. So it's always working 24/7, requiring something to fuel it and to repair it. It's going to eventually start using fat sources as an energy source to repair these. That is what you want. So more muscle mass, less fat, more metabolically active, more resistant. That's what we want. That's the purpose of what we're doing here. So let's briefly touch on why I said that you're going to be more resistant to disease and you're going to be a lot harder to kill, basically, if you have more muscle mass. Right? That is because, like, let's just say that you guys like eat a lot of carbohydrates, you eat a lot of refined sugars and stuff like this, and you're always spiking your glucose and stuff like that, and you are a little bit overweight and you do not have a lot of muscle mass, right? Eventually, you guys are going to be, you could potentially become pre-onset type 2 diabetic, okay? So you've got too much blood glucose, your glucagon stores are full, and eventually it's going to start not being able to pull that sugar away, and it's going to start storing it in fat cells, and eventually when that happens, eventually it's going to have nowhere to go, and your receptors are going to be like, we can't go anywhere, we can't do this kind of thing, and you're going to start becoming insulin resistant, and then you could potentially become type 2 diabetic, which is not a good thing. That is bad. It's one of the markers of like really poor metabolic health. It's just so bad, and because of this, your body's not going to be running as well. Your hormones are going to be affected. Everything else is going to be affected. You're going to be susceptible to disease. That's not what we want. So the one thing that you guys can do now, again, this is not medical advice in any way, shape, or form. I am not a human biologist. I'm not an MD or anything like that. So this is not medical advice. This is for informational purposes only. If you guys have like type 2 diabetes or you're pre-onset and stuff like that, the one thing that you have control over that you guys can do to make this better and start getting a kickstart on things is to build more muscle mass and get stronger. Like, not diet. Everything else is going to be affected by diet later down the line. But like, diet's got where you are. You want to improve your diet, obviously. You want to start eating cleaner proteins, lower carb, like less carbs, higher fats, healthier stuff like that. But you want to build muscle mass and you want to get stronger, because what's going to happen is, as you start to build muscle mass, your body's going to be like, right, well, we need to fuel this. We need to fuel this, right? And let's say you cut your carbohydrates right down. There's not going to be enough carbohydrates to go there. So they're going to start having to pull energy sources from elsewhere. And again, I said, muscle's always active. It's always doing something. it's going to require this 24/7. It's going to start pulling energy and stuff from elsewhere. It's going to start trying to take it away from your fat stores. It's going to take it away from glucagon. It's going to start lowering your blood glucose levels because you're not spiking them anymore. And eventually over time, if you build some muscle mass and you get stronger, it's going to start requiring all this energy, and eventually you can start getting yourself back to being insulin sensitive, which means your body's going to work better. And you've got more muscle mass, which means you are stronger. You've got all these proteins in your body, and it means you are going to be less susceptible to disease, making you more resilient and harder to kill. That's what you want as you age. So you need to be able to make yourself harder to kill by building muscle mass. You need to delay osteoporosis by building strength and muscle mass. You need to delay sarcopenia so you don't end up fucking frail when you are older. And you need to do this by building more muscle mass. It is the one thing that you guys have some real control over, and it's the one thing that can just absolutely dramatically change your health and improve things for the better. Now, you can start at any age. Like, you can start in your 30s, you can start in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s. If you can get yourself a really, really good trainer that can help you out and do some strength training, like you can start in your 80s and start improving your health now. It is never too late. If you're in like 70s or 60s and you're starting to not look your best, you're not starting to feel your best, you're starting to get a little bit of a belly, you're slowing down because hormones and stuff start to change as you get older. Sarcopenia increases dramatically as you get over 60. You need to be strength training and do some muscle mass and building some muscle mass. These things are only going to improve your life as you age. This is how we age, and this is how we increase longevity. These are the things that you guys have got to do. So there is like two things that we can look at, and we look at two things: health span and lifespan. Lifespan is usually increased by cardiovascular output, by increasing the ticker, making the tinger more efficient, making your cardiovascular system more efficient. That will increase how long you live, right? The way you increase how long you are healthy for within that lifespan is by building muscle mass and getting stronger. And you want both of these things to go hand in hand with each other. Do some cardio, do strength training, muscle mass. Both of these things together are going to increase your health span and your lifespan. And again, like, muscle mass is your metabolical currency. I heard that on a podcast. I probably butchered that. I probably said that. It's not even a word. But that is how you increase these things. And as you deteriorate, you can start using it as energy. And it's just all great things that you guys need to be doing. You need to be increasing your strength and muscle mass. It's just a non-negotiable of aging. And anyone else that tells you otherwise, well, they're just not guiding you in the right direction, to be honest. No personal trainer worth the salt's not ever going to tell you to build some muscle mass. It's the key. It is a secret sauce to longevity, aging well, fighting off disease, getting fitter, getting a better state of health, and being able to keep going, picking up your grandkids, walking, hiking, doing things with the dogs, just general movements, getting up and down, getting off the ground, getting up out of bed. All these things are going to be improved by building muscle mass and strength. And it can be done absolutely anywhere. Like, you don't need to go to a gym. You can get yourself on Strength Shop, you could get yourself on Black Box, or Factory Fitness. You could get yourself on any of these shops and type in kettlebells, and you could get yourself a kettlebell. So me and my wife use kettlebells at home. We've got a variety of weights, but you guys don't need to do that. You could have one sort of like medium to light and then one light heavy, or you could have a light, medium, and a heavy kettlebell. And you can do things. So you can have like your light day to do like conditioning workout circuits, all these things to try and build some cardiovascular and conditioning output. And then you can use your heavier kettlebell to do some squats, lunges, some strength training, some pushes, chest presses, rows, all these things to build a little bit of muscle mass via like repetitions and sets. And but yeah, you can do it at home. That's what I'm trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to say is you guys can do it at home. You don't need to go to a gym. You could buy like 2 or 3 kettlebells for less than a month's membership at a gym and get some real benefit without going anywhere. And you could do it for like 15, 20 minutes every other day and still make some great progress. Okay? And I said, you can do this even if you're 50 or even if you're 60. On one of the podcasts I was listening to, they were talking about a study where they had a group of young males doing some training and monitoring their muscle activation levels, right, in response to like protein synthesis. And their muscles were obviously firing because they're younger, they're anabolic, they're still growing. Okay, they did the same with people over 50, and they found that obviously that connection wasn't happening. They was older, they had less muscle mass. It wasn't firing the same. But what they did find is that when they fed the older group some proteins after 30 grams of protein after training, post training, their muscles started firing, and they actually started building muscle mass as well as what the younger group would have done. So yeah, so anybody over like 50 or 60 or whatever, if you do some strength training and you do in trying to build some muscle mass and get stronger, if you guys do that and then you have like 30 grams of protein, you're going to see the same connection and synthesis as what the younger guys did. So don't ever think it's too late for you guys. You can always do it, and you should always be doing it if you want to age better and increase longevity. So that's going to wrap it up for this podcast, guys. This is going to wrap it up for the first episode. I wanted to go over something that was like fairly important, and I feel like it should be just pushed more in just like a me to you way in just basics. And I feel like women are lied to a little bit. Well, not lied to, but misguided. I feel like the women are misguided because they're always taught about weight and not lifting weights and doing Pilates and yogas. I've got nothing against Pilates and I've got nothing against yogas, but it's not going to build strength and it's not going to build muscle mass. Okay, it's too low intensity. You're not going to do anything. You're not driving any force there to try and increase your strength and muscle mass. You need to be doing some dedicated training with weights to do this. And you guys might think it's boring and you don't want to do it, but trust me, you need to start now. You need to keep doing it, and you need to get stronger because it's only going to help you in later life. And you don't want to get to 80 years old and regret not doing it, saying I probably should have done that when I was younger. So that's the best advice. If there's one thing that any personal trainer or myself can ever give you, any advice whatsoever, it is to go out, do some strength training, build some muscle mass, get stronger. That is the best advice that I can give absolutely anybody, anywhere. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. I hope you found some insight into this. I hope you found it useful, at least. And if you did, if you're on the YouTube, please leave a like, subscribe, drop your questions in the comments so that I can get back to you guys and we can have more topics to discuss. I am always looking for discussion topics and things like that. So please leave them down in the comments or wherever. And that's going to wrap it up for this one. I will catch you guys in the next one. More to come, yeah? See you in a bit, guys. Peace out.